And poverty is very, very damaging instrumental to women today because they have to do everything and no support. The only person that supports them is the guy above. Should we never have that one? I don't think we were going to be where we are today. But this is about time for us to realize and appreciate what God gave us.
I was doing a bit of research on you, and I found out that you have a foundation.
Yes.
What is your foundation all about?
The foundation is to nurture the African girl child. And I believe to teach them norms and values, because those are the ones going to be the future mother of the future leader of Africa. Because we're going to run out of leaders. Because your mother and my mother, they're not going to be there to produce you or to produce me. We need these girls to teach them norms, entrepreneurs culture, cultural entrepreneur, to be by themselves, to run away from being sugar daddy, sugar mommy, and all of those kinds of things. But should you educate that, empower that girls, I guarantee you, their duty is to educate the young boy and the men. Because when we are home, no matter what, woman is the one who pack when you travel, we pack the suitcase of your husband and the children. That's how important a girl's important is. But these girls, I think, should I never be granted the opportunity where I am today. I wasn't going to be where I am today. This is my time to pro back to the African girl child, not only Namibian girl child, it's African girl child. Where I'm working on now, I'm building a school for 450 girls. 150 are coming from all different African countries. And there's a church, there's a clinic, and there's for the girls. And then that way we see how can we teach them norms and values and cultural entrepreneur to be by themselves, to be important, not to find them, because right now you find them getting pregnant by even 5, 10 men. They don't know who's the father of the child. But that child, do not expect that child to be a leader of Norway. Because you have to know where you're coming from first, the background where you're coming from, which is very important for the future. The only thing I know for sure, it will make a dent. That 450, it will multiply all over, slowly by slowly. Because if you see our leader today and the gap between the youth is so huge. And as some of you probably been told you are going to be the future leader of tomorrow. Up to now, there's no chance. Those are still looking for the gap, still looking for the excuse, still looking for reasons and everything until it gets dark. But I think it's about time to make sure that we empower the youth. Because in Africa, you have to belong to which clan, you have to belong to somewhere else, you have to be connected. But that's not the issue. That's not the future. The future is on our hand. And then I also believe in divine intervention. You cannot force matters.
Echoes from the Valley, telling the African story.
To nurture the African girl child today for a better tomorrow. To educate a woman, you educate a community. And then these are the people. This is the future leader of Africa, the future mother of their future leader, to be the key architect and the creator of hope for our future society. The best way to improve this is through education, to groom them, to empower them, to train them, and to educate them, teaching them norms and values and entrepreneurial skills so they can depend on themselves. The girls has so much more potential opportunity to expand.
From the stables of the publishers Echoes Africa magazine comes your favorite TV show, Echoes from the Valley. African story like you've never seen it. Recorded in locations across Africa and diaspora. It is Africa from African perspective.
That conversation about who's the most African, we're really spending a lot of time on something that really is not that significant. What's significant is what we do.
As governments, as individuals, we have got to tell our stories.
What is your African story? What is your origin and the history? What makes your culture and tradition unique? What are your milestones? Echoes from the Valley on Africa Independent Television, AIT. For sponsorship, participation, and advert details, please call the numbers on your screen. Echoes from the Valley, telling the African story.
I am to be proud of an African. Always midnight, every time. Be proud to be an African. I'm an African, a woman, black, and it's beautiful.
How would you describe yourself? If yes, I know it's difficult for somebody to say, talk about himself or herself, but if someone was to ask you to describe Martha, how would you describe yourself?
I don't go for popularity. I always go for unpopular decision. I take unpopular decision. I don't go for I go for principle. Might not be the easy person that way. Ideology. I don't take anything personal. I take criticism as a constructive, and I take advantage from that. And I'm a woman and a mother, and I know I can do anything. I've been told to be prepared, be eventuality. I grew up as as my father's daughter, and I learned everything from my father.
As governments, as individuals, we have got to tell our stories.
Growing up, we've been told that we are not good at mathematics. When I get to America, I end up only be good in numbers. Should I have listened to the apartheid system? Should I have never been granted that opportunities? I wasn't going to be where I am today.
What is your African story? Echoes from the Valley on Africa Independent Television, AIT. For sponsorship, participation, and advert details, please call the numbers on your screen. Echoes from the Valley, telling the African story.
Being a Namibian and being a person who I am, I don't believe in groups. And reason why, of course, I'm Oshwambo, and I'm proud to be Oshwambo. But unfortunately, I'm married to a non-Oshwambo person. So I don't speak on Oshwambo midnight. I don't speak Oshwambo at home sometimes. But I'm proud Oshwambo person, that it goes with the culture. If you don't know where you're coming from, there's no way to know where you're going. That's the things play role on me. And then in Namibia, we have one Namibia, one nation. That one, it gets me that even my company's names, it's United Africa Group. We are united here with one common goal. And that goal, it applies to my daily living.
What is your origin and the history? What makes your culture and tradition unique? Echoes from the Valley. African story like you've never seen it.
Everybody has a culture, and I believe in a culture. If you really Because respect is a two-way. And then respect, it's come up with the upbringing. And the upbringing is part of the culture. And you can go to universities and get your degrees, but if you do not have the upbringing, which is the foundation, and then that, I believe the upbringing can complement by education. If you only have education part, then to me, the things which was lacking is culture. Culture, no matter what, is a culture. And it's more or less almost the same. Of course, in Nigeria, it's very strong. But we here, we are not many. Let me say a few things about Africa, about culture. One culture can only be preserved if, as a parents, teach your children about their cultures, their mother's tongue, where they come from. Culture can only be preserved when each householder continue the culture. You cannot just get a culture from the street. It has to start it from the roots. Yes, we have to have the roots. And culture is one thing which I was not supposed to do, but I live in a modern world. You don't talk about yourself. Let somebody talk about you. You humble yourself. That's part of my culture.
Okay.
And respect. It's actually, my culture is almost like 10 Commandments. Whatever the 10 Commandments is about, is part of my culture.
You know, there is fear in some part that Africa is losing because of modernization and globalization, technology. Africa is losing its culture. For instance, I remember that my mother used to tell me, even when we were growing up, when we used to go to the village, you have a situation whereby the community brings up a child. Say a child is misbehaving outside. You don't have to be the mother or the relative, blood relative, to correct that child. But in this modern society, you don't find it the way the world is going now. But that is a typical African culture that we know. Is it also applicable to Oshiwambo?
Yes, that is today. That's why we need to look at this future youth, so that they won't follow this, because they become a loose cannon right now. They don't know what is the culture, and nobody's there to teach them what is the culture. How important is the culture? They become easy to adapt, to copy from modern culture, which is not our culture. African culture is very, very important, and it's very strong. That's why we need to teach them norms and values and cultural entrepreneurs. When you even fall in love, you fall in love with the person because you love the person, not because of money, not because of any reasons. That's why you see the problem today. It's not a culture.
From the stables of the publishers Echoes Africa magazine comes your favorite TV show, Echoes from the Valley. African story like you've never seen it. Recorded in locations across Africa and diaspora. It is Africa from African perspective.
That conversation about who's the most African, we're really spending a lot of time on something that really is not that significant. What's significant is what we do.
As governments, as individuals, we have got to tell our stories.
What is your African story? What is your origin and history? What makes your culture and tradition unique? What are your milestones? Echoes from the Valley on Africa Independent Television, AIT. For sponsorship, participation, and advert details, please call the numbers on your screen. Echoes from the Valley, telling the African story.
Part of the culture we are also losing is the fact that, just like you were mentioning earlier on, you have a situation whereby you have young girls getting pregnant, not to condemn anybody or judge anybody, but that is not the typical African culture, where even in some African cultures today, they frown on girls who get pregnant out of wedlock. But that is part of the African culture we are losing. What do you think is responsible for this?
That's what I'm saying, is the society we are living. It's the influential. It was really in the lack of education, the lack of accessibility to finance, accessibility to affordability to many things. If you not afford this and this, definitely you're left with nothing than copying something else.
There is a negative perception about Africa in across the globe, where they look at Africa as poverty-ridden, corruption, and why do you think we have that perception about Africa?
That's what I'm saying. Respect is a two ways. We've been brainwashed by the poverty, by everything, by influential of those European culture, which is not our culture. So, to be honest, I'm proud to be African. And then they say who you are is what you eat and who you hang around with. I'd be happy to hang around in Africa. I'd be happy to go somewhere else and learn and come and apply what I learned from there, especially on education. But the foundation is very important, and the upbringing is very important. If you lack of that upbringing, and you go to Europe, you have no culture, that will be the problem. And who will respect you if you don't have a culture? If you don't have an identity? It's like you left your ID somewhere else, and you continue going somewhere else. It's going to be very difficult. That's why the ID has to have your picture. The picture is you. We have to have ID, the identity, identifications of you. You have to represent Africa as an African person, as an African, proud African.
As governments, as individuals, we have got to tell our stories.
What is your African story? What is your origin and history? What makes your culture and tradition unique? What are your milestones? Echoes from the Valley on Africa Independent Television, AIT. For sponsorship, participation, and advert details, please call the numbers on your screen. Echoes from the Valley, telling the African story.
Africa is blessed with many things. Number one, it's blessed with the culture. Number two, it's blessed with the people. It's blessed with natural resources, what all people looking for. Everything they're looking for in Africa, I mean in the part of the world, is in Africa. Be it people with brain, be it dedicated people, be it natural resources, be it anything, is in Africa. I do not see anything which is not Africa. Probably which is needed is more to unite and appreciate what we have and work on it. Because Africa should be the final destination, either for the investors, either for tourists, because we have animals, we have the sun. People come here to get tan or whatever it is. So we have everything. Where will you get the sun? Where will you get it's all these animals? You know, we have everything. We have everything, I think.
You were very successful in the US. You lived in the Bay Area.
Yes.
That's the area they have the Silicon Valley and all of that, right?
Yes.
And you were successful in your field. What made you decide to leave all that and come back to Africa?
No, my kids still in America. Only one this year, one after the graduation went to Paris because of he decided to change the career. So, but I still have my roots there.
Yeah, but you're based in Africa. Why did
But
you
in
leave
a-
all that to come?
Because I feel like I'm a very important asset of my country and Africa. Because I'm not only doing business in Namibia, I'm doing all over in Africa. And I consider myself as African child, a child of the soil of Africa.
So that's why you came.
And I'm happy to deal with my leaders in all of Africa. I'm happy to be African, and I'm happy to be a woman. The only thing I know for sure, if I did it, every woman can make it, even 10 times better.
You know, the one thing that is important, that I feel is important about human beings is no matter how successful you are,
Yeah.
leaving a legacy.
Yes.
What would you want to be remembered for?
Leaving a legacy, I believe on I did a talk on legacy, not entitlement. And the legacy I would like to leave, I would like to leave a legacy of unity, legacy of plowing back to the community, legacy of sharing, a legacy of hard work, dedication and a passion, a legacy where people not only remember me the way I used to look, but should speak through their work, their belief, their caring, and above all, know where they're coming from. The only person can prevent, when it's coming to young people, can prevent you or them from prospering is themselves or is yourself. By having a limited belief, and whether you are having a good day or a bad day, put your favorite outfit. Walk with your head higher. Go forward and tackle each challenge you will face head on. However, or because if you believe in yourself, you are passionate about what you do, you put in hard work, and also there's nothing that will be beyond your reach. So that's the message I would like to give to the young people. They should not having a limited beliefs. The future is bright, and there's nobody can do it rather than themselves.